Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in for today's webinar. My name is Len, and I'm with the technical team here at Vembu Technologies, and we can get started with the webinar right away. Once again, I thank you everyone for joining in for today's webinar. Before I go ahead and get started with the webinar itself, I'd like to set some ground rules. So if you do have any questions during the course of the webinar, you will see the GoToMeeting chat window on the right hand side of your screen. So you can go ahead and feed in your questions as and when they come to your mind. And we have a team of technical support executives working on the call today. They'll be making sure that your questions are being answered. And even during the end of the webinar, I can pick up a few of those questions and we can start answering them. During the end of the webinar, we will also have a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions after this webinar, you can also feel free to go ahead and raise your hands, and then we would unlock you so that you can go ahead and ask your. All right, so thank you so much again, and let's get started with today's webinar. I'm going to talk about Vembu backup and disaster recovery. Before I go into the details of the product, I'd like to give you all an overview about the company Vembu Technologies. Vembu Technologies, we have been in business since 2004. We are about 300 employees. We are a private company, profitable since 2006. 70% of our customers are based here in North America, 20% in Europe, and 10% in Asia Pacific. We are headquartered in Dallas, Texas. We currently service about 4,400 partners worldwide who reach about 60,000 businesses. We are a private company, we are profitable, and we are growing on an average about 30 to 40% every year. And who do we sell to? We currently address the small to medium sized businesses, value-added resellers, and enterprise customers. We have customers across all horizontals and verticals, like we serve law firms, we serve healthcare institutions, we also serve managed service providers and value-added resellers. A little bit more about Vembu Technologies. Our heritage is in the storage and backup industry. We have a complete backup solution designed for different types of backups. So whether we'd like to do a file level backups or a disk image backups or virtual environment backups like VMware, Hyper-V, and Zen, Vembu BDR becomes your one-stop shop for all of your backup requirements. On top of that, we also have a few other products designed for businesses. We have a file sharing product. It's called FileShare. It's like Dropbox for businesses, highly secure, and allows a business to easily and securely share files and folders. We also have a sales desk, a help desk, and a social desk products designed for businesses apart from backup and disaster recovery. A little bit further details into Vembu BDR. Vembu backup and disaster recovery, the unique value proposition for this product is it is one product that functions across all of your environments. So whether you have a physical server running across heterogeneous operating systems, so let's say you have a Linux servers, a Windows server, a desktop, or a laptop, or you have different environments. So you have your servers running on virtualized environments like VMware, Hyper-V, or Zen. Vembu BDR gives you the option to back up all of these different environments and make sure they all come under a common backup policy of your organization, an ability to perform instant boot or instant failover on the local BDR server in the event of a disaster. On top of that, the system also provides compression, encryption, and deduplication for all the data that is being backed up. So you can cut your storage cost by more than 50% on an average with the help of these different functions that we have in the product. We also have a patented file system that resides on the backup server because though the data is technically encrypted, compressed, and deduplicated, when you are looking to have the data restored, we provide an instant failover option where the system can be booted as a VM on the backup server instantaneously, so your customers or your employees can access the server immediately in the event of a disaster. On top of that, we also allow a functionality where the data from this backup server can be sent offsite to our cloud running on Amazon AWS. It is a HIPAA, high-tech, and SOX compliant cloud platform. It's globally redundant. So in the event there is a site level data loss where your data is completely lost, we give you an option to boot these systems as a VM on our cloud, so you can instantly connect to the systems on the cloud and start accessing your data. So this is all a well integrated solution and addresses complex backup and disaster recovery requirements for many of our customers. We have a trusted clientele, and our products have been reviewed by many third-party industry analysts. The products have been compared with some of the other major competitors in the market and has been proven to provide a rich set of functionalities at a price point much affordable to small and medium-sized businesses. We strongly believe in our customers testing the product first so that they can understand what they are trying to get into, and after that they can make a decision on whether they would like to go with BDR or not. So we have a standard policy. That way you get to know the product in detail, you get to try it out even before you can make a decision about purchasing the product. With that being said, I'd like to straight away jump into the product demonstration and show you the actual product in action. I have one of my other colleagues here whom I'm going to make a presenter right now, and he's going to share the screen and I'll take the demo from there. So Thiago, I'm going to make you the presenter. Can you go ahead and share your screen? All right, thank you so much. And I believe you can all see the screen that we are sharing with you right now. So our backup and disaster recovery solution works in a client and a server architecture. So we have a client agent that is installed on any systems that you want to back up. So let's say you have a Mac laptop, you have a Windows desktop, laptop, or a physical server running Linux or Windows. You install the client agent. We have native client agents for all operating systems that you can download it from the website. So once you install the client agent, it is a web-based user interface. So you can access this particular client agent anywhere within the network. So once you log in, you can perform different backup functions. So let's say I go to backup. You have different types of backups. You can perform an image backup where you can take the full system image, or you can perform an application backup where you can back up only the applications like Exchange or SQL or Exchange Mailbox or SharePoint. Or you could also do a file-based backup. So you have three different backup options, because you cannot have one backup option and force all of your systems to fall under that backup policy. There are some mission critical systems, there are non-mission critical systems. In some situations, you only want to back up 2 folders rather than backing up the entire system. Because of these different requirements, we give you different backup options bundled into a single product. For this demo purpose, I'm going to show you how to back up a full system image of a physical server and how to restore it in the event of a disaster. So in this case, I'm going to say disk image backup. And this is a physical server running Windows 2008. So once I say disk image backup, the system is going to show me all the drives running on that particular system. So it's going to show me all the drives. I'm going to select both the Windows partition as well as the boot partition. So I have the ability to instantly boot the system as a VM on the backup server. And after I select these drives, I go ahead and specify the backup server's IP address. The backup server is another application running on the local network. And then I can go ahead and schedule the backups. I can schedule the backups to run every few minutes, few hours, or daily, depending on how frequently you want to run the backups. And after that, I can go ahead and set up my retention policies. Like I can say how many restore points I want to keep for the current day and how many restore points I want to keep for the current week. So I can specify those settings. I can go ahead and set up my application aware options. So while we do a disk image backup, like a full system snapshot, we also recognize that there is an application running inside the system. For example, Exchange might be running some transactions. It might be writing to some database. So our snapshot should not disturb Exchange from doing its function. So while we do a snapshot, we will wait for that Exchange to complete its transaction and then take a clean snapshot, so it is application aware. And after the backup is complete, we go ahead and truncate the transaction logs, so we know that we have a clean copy of a full system image, and also we back up the Exchange as well, so you can perform point in time restores. And then you can go ahead and save the backups, and backups will start to stream from the client to the backup server. On a local network, these backups go really fast. Like if you have a gigabit switch, the backups stream over 900 Mbps. So we have a bandwidth throttling option where you can say, go to settings and bandwidth throttling, where you can say, I want the backups to use certain specific bandwidth. I don't want it to use all of my bandwidth. So you can come here and specify your bandwidth throttling, where you can say from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. use only certain specific bandwidth, and also disable bandwidth throttling during the weekend. So that way, during office hours, your bandwidth is conserved for backups, and during non-office hours, the system could use the full bandwidth available. On top of that, we could also perform virtualization backups. Let's say you want to perform a backup of your VM environment. For VMware backups, you simply have to install the client agent on one of the guest VMs, not on all the guest VMs, just on one of them. From there, you can go ahead and add your VM server, like you can add your vSphere or vCenter or vCloud Director. You simply have to provide the IP address and password of the VM environment. And then you can go back and then say backup VMware. And we use the vStorage APIs and also a few other APIs from VMware. And we are a VMware Elite partner, and we do pay to get access to these APIs. So we provide a top-notch functionality when it comes to backup. So once you do that, the system is going to list all the VMs running on that particular data center, running on that vSphere or vCenter. You can simply pick and choose which VMs you want to backup, and then go ahead and specify the backup server, specify your schedule, specify the retention policies. It is all the same. And then you can also specify the application aware options. Apart from backing up the VM at the image level, we also back up the applications running inside the VM using application aware technology. So in the event of recovery, you could do a file level recovery or a VM level recovery, or even an application level granular recovery like mailbox level recovery or mail level recovery. So you have complete granularity when it comes to restores. And then your backups will start to run after this. And let me now take a look at the Hyper-V backups. And Hyper-V is also very simple and straightforward. You have to install the client agent on the Hyper-V host. Once you install it on the host, we list out all the VMs running on that particular host. And then you can pick and choose which VMs you want to back up, and then you can back it up to the backup server. We support Hyper-V clustered shared volume, like Hyper-V VMs running on a clustered volume. We also support generation 1 as well as generation 2 VMs, that is VHD and VHDX, running on Hyper-V. And rest everything is a simple and straightforward process. Provide the backup server's IP address, schedule how frequently you want the backups to run, and go ahead and save the backups. And once the backups are set up, there is actually no need to go into the client agent after that, because it is all an automated process. Unless you want to change the backup schedule, typically you don't have to look at the client agent after that. So apart from that, we also have file-based backups. So let's say you only want to backup certain files and folders, but not the entire system. You can say you can add a file and folder level backup, where you can pick and choose which files and which folders you would like to backup, and then have them backed up to the backup server. Or you could also perform an application level backup. Now let's say you only want to backup Exchange database or Exchange mailboxes or SQL database. You can use these application backup options to specifically backup only those applications. On top of that, we also have additional backup options. So if you'd like to backup your Zen server, your Oracle database, your PostgreSQL and Pervasive database, those options are also available on the client agent itself. Now this is a high-level overview of what all the options you have on the client agent. Now let me show you the backup server and show you how to perform restores from the backup server. Your BDR backup server is again an application that you download from our website, and this has to be installed on a Windows 2008 R2 server or a Windows 2012 R2 or Ubuntu 14.04. And this can be installed either on a physical or a virtual server. The reason for these different operating systems is these operating systems comes with an inbuilt hypervisor, which we are going to use for performing instant failover. So for example, let's say you're using Windows 2012 R2 or 2008 R2. it comes with Hyper-V pre-bundled with it. So in the event of disaster, you would be able to have these images that you have backed up to be booting up in Hyper-V. So even if you back up a VMware environment, you can boot it in the Hyper-V that comes with the backup server for instant failover. This is again a web-based user interface. You can access it anywhere within the network. On the left-hand side, you're going to see all the client agents that is backing up to this backup server. And this backup server can be connected to any storage, like it could be a NAS or a SAN or an iSCSI target or a direct attached storage. You'd be able to configure the storage for this particular backup server. Now, in the event of disaster, let's assume you're backing up a physical server or VMware and you would like to perform a restore. So you can click the client agent for which you want to perform a restore and come to this backup job. And I'm going to look at the backup job that says disk. As you can see, the original size of the disk actually it is 500 GB hard disk, but only 137 GB is what is actually used on the disk. After compression and deduplication, the data is stored as 70.72 GB, right? Roughly about 50% compression on an average. Now, if this particular system is lost and you need to be able to get it up and running, come to this backup server and then you say restore, like proceed with recovery options. And here you can say instant boot. And once I say instant boot, the system is going to ask me for a few options like instant boot using what? You have to say instant boot using Hyper-V or KVM if it is Ubuntu, and specify the amount of memory that needs to be allocated and choose from the timestamp from which you want to do this instant boot and then say submit. And once you do that, if you could go to the Hyper-V manager, you can see that the new VM is now connected in Hyper-V, and then this is up and running. You can simply connect to it and start accessing that particular VM, and you can even configure the network, provide access to one of your customers, provide access to your employees so that they can immediately connect to this and start accessing it. So this is where our technology kicks in. There is no restore process here. There is no time for restore. You can have instant access to the data in the event of a disaster. That is what the whole solution is designed for. And not just an instant boot, you could also perform granular recovery. Now let's say you don't want to do an instant boot. You only need certain files and folders from this image backup that you just performed, which is also a simple process. So here you can come to the recovery options and then you say virtual drive mount. So this is one of the restore options. Once you mount it as a virtual drive, on the Explorer window on the backup server, you will see a new drive called as BDR virtual drive. It will say Vembu BDR virtual drive. You can click that, and inside this virtual drive you will find all of your client agents as folders. Click the client agent, click the backup job. Here you can find the VHD files, the VHDX files, the IMG files of your backup data, right? So what you can do is you can go to disk management and attach this VHD files. So go to disk management and simply say action attach VHD, and then browse for this VHD files and attach it. Now once you do that, this virtual drive is attached like a normal drive on the actual system. You would be able to go into the drive and browse for these files and download whatever files you need to download. Like as you can see, this drive I is what I've attached right now. You can simply right click it, open those files and access these files and folders. And let's say you have Exchange running on this particular system. You can go ahead, point to the EDB file, and you can also do granular mailbox level recovery and mail level recovery from the image backup. And we also have another restore option where you can download this image file in any format of your choice. You can say download image file, and you can specify the format, what format you want this image file to be. So you can download it as a VHD or a VMDK or a VHDX or a raw format or VMDK flat. You can specify which format you want, specify the timestamp, and then go ahead and specify the drives you want to perform the restore and select the restore location. It could be a USB drive or a flash drive, or it could be one of the direct attached storage. Download is a pretty quick process. It will instantly download. And once the download is complete, you will have a real working image of the system available as an image file. Now, with this image file, we also support performing a dissimilar hardware boot. So you have two options. One is you can take this image file, go to any other hypervisor and perform a boot. Or you can come to our website and download a recovery CD from our website. So let me show you the options. So you can go to the try page on our website, and if you scroll down, you will find a recovery CD that is available both for 32-bit and 64-bit environment. You can download this recovery CD and boot a new hardware using this recovery CD. So it could be a completely bare metal, and then you can boot the bare metal using this recovery CD. And then it's going to ask you for the image file, and you can point to the image file that you just downloaded. And then the system will go ahead and perform driver injection, and then it will perform the boot operation. So you should be able to boot a completely new hardware using the image file that you just downloaded from the website. So these are all some of the high-level overview on what are the restore options you get from Vembu BDR. On top of that, you also have recovery tools you have an Explorer for Exchange, Explorer for SharePoint, and Explorer for SQL. So if you have these backups that you have performed, like if your image backup contains Exchange data or SQL data, you can perform point-in-time recovery of mailboxes or emails or databases or tables, depending on your requirement. So on top of that, we also have the ability to send the data offsite to our cloud platform. If you go to server management, we have the option that says Cloud DR. So using this option, you can selectively say which systems you want to send to the cloud. Okay, and you can specify the data center to which the data has to be offsited to, and then you should be able to send the data automatically after every backup is complete. So you can say which data center it is, America East Coast or West Coast or any of the data centers. You can select the schedule window when you want the data to be sent, what time to what time. We also have an option where you can seed the initial data, and after that it is just incremental backups which can happen over the WAN. We also perform bandwidth throttling, so you can specify what a bandwidth you want to use for sending the data offsite. On top of that, you can selectively say which systems you want to send the data offsite. So let's say you are backing up like 100 systems. You don't want to send all the 100 systems data to the cloud. You only want to say, I only want these 5 systems to be available on the cloud so that I can instant boot and get it up and running in the event of disaster. You can come here, select which systems you want to send to the cloud, and then you should be able to do that very fairly easily and quickly. And this Cloud DR is going to help you by providing another restore point, another restore option, where even if there is a complete site level data loss, you can log into our cloud platform and you would be able to perform an instant boot of the data on the cloud. On top of that, we also provide various reports for the backup and disaster recovery. So we have a backup status reports. So we will let you know if a backup is failing or if it is successful. These reports can also be emailed out to you, so you will know for sure if a backup has failed. We can also schedule this email report to go out on a specific date and time. You can create filters for this particular backup job. So let's say you only want to be alerted for certain specific failed backups, right? So you can create filters and say I want to be alerted for all failed backups and successful backups, and I want this filter to be filter by duration for the last 15 days, and then I can give a filter name, and then I can go ahead and save this filter, and based on this I will get an email on a daily basis or a weekly basis, depending on how frequently you want to configure this. On top of that, we also have what is called as a backup verification report. So backup is one job that is prone to fail because you will not be sure that your data is restorable unless you go and check the backups yourself manually, right? Because backups are dependent on a lot of factors like network or disk. Anything could corrupt a backup. So what we do is a way to perform automated disaster recovery testing. So after every backup is complete, we go ahead and boot the system. We go ahead and boot it up, take a screenshot, and send it to you as an email report. We mount it, we perform some corruption check, and it is an automated process that happens on a daily basis, and send it to you as an email report. So that way, you can be sure that your data is in fact verified and restorable in the event of a disaster, right? And this report will help you to make proactive decisions, because you will not be surprised when it comes to disaster. You know for sure exactly when your backups are not available and for which dates your backups are available. That way, it's going to greatly help you in making decisions regarding restores. On top of that, we also have alarms and events. So if a backup is failing or if it is successful, we create alarms on the product. We also have events, and these events are also published as Windows events. So if you do have a remote monitoring product that is polling the Windows events, you should be able to easily grab those Windows events from Vembu BDR and create it as a ticket related to backup. So you can assign technicians, or you can yourself work on the tickets or contact our support team for that. This is pretty much a high-level overview of the product. It is definitely a lot more to offer, but we cannot cover everything on a short webinar. But we would recommend you to go ahead and test the product in your environment. We have a 30-day free trial. Download it and test it and see the product in action for yourself. And I'd also like to give you an overview on the pricing. Our pricing is very simple and straightforward. We only charge you for the client agents. We don't charge you for the backup server. So if you're backing up a desktop and laptop, it is free of cost. You don't pay for any client licenses. You simply can back up these systems for free. If you'd like to perform an image backup, let's say for VMware or Hyper-V or Zen or a physical server, your charges are going to be $20 for a server for a month, or 2 sockets for a month. So for VMware and Hyper-V and Zen, we go by the number of sockets running on the motherboard. A typical motherboard will have 2 sockets. So on 2 sockets, you can have unlimited VMs running on it. But there is a technical limitation, but we don't charge you by number of VMs you're running on that host. We only charge you by the host. So it's just $20 per month for a host, and you can back up all the VMs. Let's say you only want to back up application, which is like Exchange or SQL or SharePoint, then it'll be charged at only $14 a month. Or if you want to back up one of files on a specific server, you'll be charged at $7 a month. But if you perform image backup, you basically get application backup and file backup free of cost. So image backup license includes both application backup and file backup. And for the data that you store on the cloud, again, that is an optional settings. So for any data that is stored on the cloud, you'll be charged at 10 cents per GB per month. So let's say you're backing up 500 GB of data locally and also sending that to cloud, you'll be billed at $50 a month. This is a pay-as-you-go monthly model. So we charge you at the end of every month. There is no commitment, there is no contract. So you can always test the product, but if you don't like it, you can always switch. There is no binding contracts here. And we make it very easy for our customers to evaluate and work with us. And we are confident about the product, and we are sure that once you start evaluating, once you like it, it becomes a very straightforward process after that. On top of that, we also offer a 24/7 free support. So you can contact us through phone, email, chat or remote session. And we are available round the clock to help you and assist you with any questions you might have with the product. So that's pretty much the high-level overview of the product. So let me show you a little bit about FileShare. The FileShare product is similar to Dropbox or Box kind of a product. It is a very simple and straightforward product. So this helps you to easily share and sync files within your employees or colleagues or anyone within the office. It has a simple interface, and you should be able to sync and share all the folders and files, etc. So we have an agent that you can install it on a Mac. It's called the FileShare agent. Like here, you will be able to see all the documents that is recently modified. We also have a FileShare folder here that is on the Mac. So you can simply drag and drop the files and folders, and it will automatically sync to the cloud platform. Once you add the files, the sync process will start, and then the files will be synced onto the cloud. So if you could go to the cloud platform of FileShare, here you can take a folder, you can collaborate on that folder. You can enter some of your colleagues' email address and you'll be able to collaborate on it. And then you can download it. You can create access for people within the organization. For example, you can say, for this user, I want to have co-owner access, view only, or view and sync. And then you can take a file and you can easily and privately share this file to anyone. So you can share it with even anyone outside of your organization. So you can say, I want to share it with someone else, like a contractor or someone, and it will create a private URL. You can protect it with a password. You can also set an expiry date for this particular link, so that files can be easily shared even outside of the organization. And you can see all the shared files here. You can see all the shared links available here. The product is also available in different languages, like in English, Spanish, French, Dutch, Italian, Suomi, and we also have Portuguese that is currently being worked on. And we have mobile apps for Android and iOS. So all these files and folders will also be available in Android and iOS mobile app as well. So you can even share that from Windows, or share that from your mobile phone. On top of that, you have administration access, where you can create users. You can create a group like marketing or sales or anyone within the organization. And you'll also be able to see the activity log, like an audit log, and on who has done what changes to these files and folders. So it is a very simple and straightforward product. You can search for any files here, and it will easily pull up those files and folders quickly here. And the pricing for this is also very straightforward. So we don't charge you for the users. The user licenses are free, so you can have unlimited number of users. We only charge you for the data you store on the cloud. For the file share product, the pricing is 10 cents per GB per month for the data you store on the cloud. So if you go to a pricing page, I can show you that. So for file share, there is free user licenses. Only pay for the storage, which is 10 cents per GB per month. On top of that, you also have 10 GB of free space. So if you want to try the product, you get 10 GB of free space on the cloud, so you can start using it. If you're using beyond 10 GB, you'll be charged for whatever storage you use, you'll be charged 10 cents per GB. And again, as part of being a reseller with Vembu, you also have the option to go ahead and resell file share as well. The key aspect of file share product is, with commercial products like Dropbox and Box or any other products, the encryption key is managed at the server side, that is on the cloud. That way, many companies are really not comfortable with those platforms. But with file share, we manage the encryption key at the client agent side. So at the agent, we manage the encryption key, so no one else can have access to the data except for the user who has set up the password. That way it is more secure, and it is highly encrypted using AES 256, and it is designed for the business requirements. So I believe if you do have any additional questions, you can email us to vembu-sales@vembu.com. I'm also going to put that in the chat window, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have, or you can give us a call. We are available 24/7. I believe you found this webinar useful. We thank you so much for every one of you who joined this webinar. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your patience, and we look forward to meeting you pretty soon in another call or a webinar. Thank you, everyone. You all have a great day. Bye-bye.